be honest. In a world that's more connected than ever, being alone can feel like a failure, a sign that nobody picked you for the team. We're taught to fear the quiet, to fill every spare second with noise and company, to mindlessly scroll the minute silence threatens to creep in. We have endless ways to connect, but so many of us feel completely disconnected and adrift. But what if the ancient Stoics, the absolute masters of the human mind, knew something we've forgotten? They believed that solitude wasn't a punishment to be avoided, but a weapon, a tool for building unbreakable inner strength, finding sharp clarity, and grabbing a kind of freedom most of us can't even imagine today. Today, we're digging into how a Roman emperor like Marcus Aurelius, a top statesman like Seneca, and a former slave-turned-teacher like Epictetus turned being alone from a weakness into their single greatest advantage. And more importantly, we're going to show you how you can do the exact same thing. Here's the first thing you need to get. There's a massive difference between being lonely and being in solitude. Loneliness is that painful, draining feeling of being isolated, like a hunger for connection that never gets fed. You can feel lonely in a packed stadium, surrounded by thousands, yet feeling totally cut off. Solitude, though, that's a choice. It's a deliberate retreat to work on yourself. Loneliness is a cage. For the Stoic, solitude is a sanctuary. It's the gym for the mind. The problem? Our world is practically designed to make us terrified of this sanctuary. It profits from our distraction, our addiction to validation, and our fear of being left alone with our own thoughts. The Stoics teach us to rebel against that, to take back our time and our own minds. They left behind a set of powerful secrets to unlock the strength hidden in being alone. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus, who literally went from being a slave to one of the most respected thinkers of his time, had a mind-blowing take on this. He taught that loneliness isn't a condition, it's a judgment, a story we tell ourselves. The real cause of our anxiety and unease, he argued, comes from our own opinions about things, not the things themselves. Think about that for a second. It's not the physical act of being alone that hurts. It's our perception of it. It's the story we spin about being left out, ignored, or abandoned. Epictetus believed the first step to mastering solitude is to become someone you actually enjoy hanging out with. Most of us run from ourselves. We chase endless distractions, social media, binge watching, back-to-back social events, anything to avoid the silence where we might have to face our own thoughts, our anxieties, our flaws. The Stoic does the exact opposite. They turn inward and get to work. They practice self-reflection, not to beat themselves up, but to understand themselves. They work on building virtues like courage, wisdom, and justice. They try to become a person of solid character. Because when you genuinely like and respect the person you are, you're never truly alone. You carry your best friend with you everywhere you go, your own mind. Solitude stops being a scary, empty space and becomes a chance to hang out with yourself. As Epictetus might say, if God can be content with his own company, why can't you? Imagine you're the most powerful man on the planet, Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius. Your daily life is a storm of political backstabbing, betrayals, the constant threat of war, and the crushing weight of an empire on your shoulders. Where do you go to find a little peace? Marcus knew that a fancy villa or a private island was useless. Real peace could only be found in one place. In his private journal, which we now call Meditations, he wrote, "Nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions, than your own soul." He called this your inner citadel, a concept the Stoics had been developing for years. It's the idea that your mind, your consciousness, is a fortress that no one can breach without your permission. External events, what other people think, good luck, bad luck, all of it can hammer against the outer walls, but it can't touch the real you unless you let it. Solitude is the act of retreating into this inner citadel. It's where you check in with your core principles and find your calm center in the middle of life's chaos. In the quiet, you can watch your thoughts and feelings without getting carried away by them. You get perspective. You can remind yourself what you actually control, your judgments, your choices, your actions, and what you don't. The world will always be chaotic. People will let you down. Your plans will blow up. But by regularly retreating into the solitude of your own mind, you build a sanctuary that is always open, always peaceful, and entirely yours. You learn that tranquility isn't something you find out there. It's something you build in here. Our lives are noisy. We're bombarded by other people's opinions, societal expectations, and our own insecurities screaming for attention. The Stoics knew that real clarity, the kind of insight that can completely change your life, isn't found in a crowd. It's found in the silence. Solitude strips away everything that isn't essential. When you're alone, the constant flood of outside information finally stops. The pressure to fit in, to perform, to be someone you're not, it all starts to fade. And in that quiet space, you can finally hear your own voice. You start to see the difference between the beliefs you've picked up from others and the values that are truly your own. Think of it like a snow globe that's just been shaken hard. Everything is a chaotic blur. Solitude is setting the globe down and letting the flakes slowly settle. Only when the storm subsides can you see the landscape clearly. You see your habits, your fears, and your desires not as a confusing mess, but as distinct patterns you can actually analyze and understand. Now, this isn't always comfortable. Solitude is like a brutally honest mirror, and sometimes it shows you things you'd rather ignore. But the Stoics saw this as vital work. Facing yourself without illusions is the only way to build a life of real purpose. The world's noise will only tell you who it wants you to be. Solitude reveals who you actually are. All right, if you're digging these ancient secrets and want to keep building that inner fortress, do yourself a favor and hit that subscribe button. This is a journey, and every video is another step toward mastering yourself. So, how does spending time alone make you better with people? It sounds backward, right? Well, the Stoic philosopher Seneca, who had plenty of time to think about this during an 8-year exile on the island of Corsica, had a brilliant take on it. He believed that solitude and society fix each other. He warned that too much time with the crowd can water down your character, but too much time alone can make you isolated and bitter. The secret is balance. Here's how it works. Solitude is where you do your maintenance. It's where you sharpen your virtues, clarify your values, and reinforce your inner citadel. You work on becoming a better, wiser, more solid human being. Then, you bring that improved version of yourself back to the world. You connect with people not because you're needy or afraid of being alone, but from a position of strength and wholeness. See, Seneca wasn't a fan of what he called fair weather friendships, the ones based on what you can do for someone or how much fun you are. Those disappear at the first sign of trouble. Real friendship, Stoic friendship, is built on virtue. It's about genuinely wanting what is best for the other person. By becoming self-sufficient in your solitude, your relationships are no longer based on dependency. You stop looking for other people to complete you or fix your problems. Instead, you connect on a much deeper level. offering them your strength, your wisdom, and your real companionship. You enjoy their company, but you don't need it to feel whole. And that freedom changes everything. Solitude prepares you for a higher quality of connection. When you boil it all down, the power of solitude comes down to one word: freedom. Freedom from the desperate need for likes and shares. Freedom from the tyranny of other people's opinions. Freedom from the emotional roller coaster of chasing approval and fearing rejection. The person who has mastered solitude is playing a completely different game. Their self-worth isn't tied to invitations or praise. It's generated from within, from living by their own code. They act based on their convictions, not for a round of applause. This is the ultimate power the Stoics were after. The person who is truly comfortable in their own company is unshakable. They can walk into any room and be fully present because they aren't there to get something. Not validation, not attention, not a feeling of belonging. They're already whole. They can engage with the world with courage and kindness because their inner peace is never on the line. Epictetus said it perfectly. When you're alone, you should call this condition tranquility and freedom. And when you are with many, you shouldn't call it a crowd or trouble or uneasiness, but festival and company, and contentedly accepted. This is the promise of Stoic solitude. It's not a life of lonely isolation, but a life of deep inner freedom and peace, whether you find yourself alone or in the middle of a party. The Stoics weren't antisocial hermits. They were deeply involved in the world, as emperors, senators, teachers, and parents. But they knew that to live well in the world, you first had to master your inner world. And the key to that mastery was solitude. It was in solitude they found the difference between loneliness and being alone. It's where they built their inner citadels of peace. It's where they got the clarity to live with purpose and the strength to form real connections. In a world that only seems to get louder and more demanding, this ancient wisdom isn't just nice to have. It's a lifeline. The power to be alone, to find strength and peace in your own company, isn't a curse. It's a superpower. So dare to be quiet. Dare to switch off the noise. Dare to retreat into your own soul and see what you find. You might just discover what Marcus Aurelius did, that it's the most peaceful and free place you can ever go. Ready to put this into practice? Of course you are. The perfect next step is the video on your screen right now. Go on, click it. Let's keep going.